Stop struggling with getting your students' attention and use these to not only get your students' attention, but to keep it as well. In this video, I will give you some attention grabber ideas and some tips when using them. You want the easiest way to quiet the class? You need to refocus their attention? Watch this video. Hi there, I'm Ms. Celeste, your co-teacher and former classroom teacher, and I help new preschool teachers develop efficient systems and processes for effective classroom management. This video is all about grabbing your students' attention and keeping it. Now, you may feel tempted to try all of these ideas, but I would say try one, get some good results, and then you may want to introduce another. Some teachers use one the whole year. I switched mine up after a while, so it's up to you. And with that being said, let's get into it. The first way to grab your preschoolers' attention is with clapping patterns. And I've talked about clapping patterns a lot in other videos because I use them a lot in and outside of my classes. So basically the pattern could go anything like this. And then the children know that either I want attention, or in certain cases when we were outside, that was the call to go line up. You can also decide to change it up throughout the year to make it silly, to make it light. So one thing that I used to do is not only do that clapping pattern that I just demonstrated, but I also used to either make it quick and easy, like, and then the children would just copy that, or I could do some silly elaborate moves like clapping behind my head or clapping down low, clapping to the left or the right, or whatever the case may be, just to keep it interesting for them. And then they would have to basically do what I do. Clapping patterns are a great way to get started. The second way to grab your preschoolers' attention is with call and response. They love this one. These are a big hit with the children, especially if you use the right one for your class. They are magical. So some may include, which you probably, like I said, have heard, 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me. And then the children would say 1, 2, all eyes on you. Another one you might want to try is peanut butter and jelly. You simply say peanut butter, and then they would yell out jelly or and jelly. You can also make up your one. Before I sat down to create this video, I thought of another one that I could have used and that maybe you can use in your classroom, and that would go like this. The steam from the iron goes, and then the children would go shh, and that can also work as well. Another favorite is using current songs from television shows, movies, or from cartoons. It's the shows that are popular with your kids in your classroom that will probably make the biggest impact. So you would say one part of the lyric, and then they would say the next part. I would even use songs that we were practicing for a long time. For instance, if we were working on a winter program or a spring program, you could take one of those songs that they know well, take part of it, and then have them sing the rest of it. So for instance, if it was like a winter program and we were doing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I could sing part of it, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and then they would sing the rest of it, had a very shiny nose, and then that could also draw their attention as well. Since you're listening to all these ideas about attention grabbers for your preschoolers, I would like you to go ahead and join my Facebook group and share your favorite ones in the group. The link is in the description. The third way to grab your preschoolers' attention is with games. So a couple examples of that would be a game that they're familiar with. For instance, red light, green light. So I would say 1, 2, 3, red light, and then they would freeze. And then that's when I would tell them whatever it is I needed to tell them. And it's a nice way to incorporate a game that they're familiar with, that they normally play outside, but something that you can do inside as a grabber. Another game that you can use could be sticky statues. You can just call out the words sticky statues, and then they could freeze as well. Or they can make a silly pose or something like that if that's something that you have worked with them on. The fourth way to get your preschoolers' attention is with props. So you can use props from around the classroom. You really don't necessarily have to go out and buy anything, but if you did, maybe a bell. I was in a classroom or in a school where a teacher actually used one of these things that sounded like a train whistle, and it sounded really cool, and the children really enjoyed it. So she'd pick it up and then it'll make this like, you know, train noise, and that would also get their attention. The other thing that also works is using something like a box or bag with something in it. And for this, you have to be like overly dramatic. You have to make them think that whatever you have in this bag, whatever you have in this box is the most amazing thing in the in the whole world. So, or the other thing that you can do with it is that you can simply just put things in it and then shake the box or shake the bag. There's a lot of different props that you can use around the classroom that you can use to get their attention. The fifth way to grab your preschoolers' attention is with signals. Now, signals can be something that is quiet. If you want them to get quiet, maybe using a quiet signal could also help them as well. So sometimes you could use flickering lights. Depending on your children, you would know your children, and if that is something that is too much for them, then don't do it. But you know, if you flick the lights once or twice to let them know that you want their attention, that may be a good idea for your students, but you have to know your children to do that. Another idea could be using the one finger on the lips and two fingers in the air. So basically it's just, and then all the children would do the same thing. They would basically copycat you. So they would put one lip on their lips and then put two fingers in the air until everyone in the classroom is doing that. So now that we have gone through some ideas that you can use as attention grabbers in your classroom with your preschoolers, know that there are a lot more out there, but I hope that you can use some of the ones that I mentioned in this video. Let me know in the comments if you have used some of these already, or if there are some of these that you want to try. Let me know which ones you'll try in your classroom. Also, if you want me to demonstrate any of these ideas, let me know that in the comments, and maybe I can do a YouTube short on it. So let's get into some tips about using these attention grabbers. So tip number one is to teach and demonstrate these attention grabbers. So you want to make sure that they know why they're going to be doing this, like what is the purpose of this. So you would explain to them why you would use it, and then not only that, but then you would explain what the expectations are for using these. This is something that you would definitely have to go over more thoroughly with them, and most likely demonstrate it a couple times if they are not getting it. Tip number two, of course, after teaching and demonstrating, you want them to practice. So you need to make sure that they are practicing this, and then practice some more, because depending on how intricate, how complex your attention grabber is, they may need more practice. So you could start with something easy, and then throughout the year maybe do something that involves more than just one step, or whatever the case may be. But do the easiest thing first, because it'll be the quickest thing to learn. If you're using attention grabbers to set your children up for a transition, I would like you to check out my other videos that discuss transition activities so that you can have a smooth, easy transition. Tip number three, acknowledge them when they are frozen, or whatever the case may be, when you are doing your attention grabber. Make sure that you acknowledge those children who have stopped, who are frozen, who are looking at you. You may want to do that by calling out their names, or you may just look at them and then count how many children you see that are looking at you. And I've done that lots of times, and they knew that if I'm looking at them, I acknowledge them with my eyes, we make eye contact, and then I count them off. And then pretty soon, you have counted all the children. Tip number four is, after you have their attention and you've acknowledged them, make sure that whatever the direction is that you want them to do, make sure that it is quick and short. Make sure that it's not a long grocery list of the things that you want them to do next. So tip number 5 is to stick to it, to be consistent. So make sure that whenever you are using your attention grabbers, that you rely on your 1 or 2 that you have all agreed upon, that you use those consistently and don't give up. You may need to, practice some more, and that's okay. Now, if they are no longer working, you may need to change it, you may need to revisit it, you may need to reintroduce it, demonstrate it, practice, and then acknowledge. Do the whole thing all over again. So that is it. I hope that you have found some attention grabbers that you can add to your list, and I hope that you found value with this video. If you have, go ahead and please like it so that other new teachers can find it as well. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you know when I have posted my next video. Until then, I'll see you soon. Bye.